on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
You know what that music means?
No.
It's associated with one man and one man only, Stephen Moore. You know Stephen Moore. He is a noted economist and author of Trumponomics. Also, most recently, Govzilla, How the Relentless Growth of Government is Devouring Our Economy and Our Freedom. Good morning, Mr. Moore. How are you?
Good morning. And by the way, I think you kind of buried the lead. My most important title. I mean, I did work as a senior economist for Donald Trump in the White House, but most importantly, I am the senior economist for the Dan and Amy Show.
There you go.
Right.
And today, Dan is being replaced by Paul Vallis. No, Paul's here. Why Dan
Hey, Paul, it's good to
take
be
some
with
time
you.
off.
Listen, I need help from you. I need help from you right out of the box.
Okay.
My son called me the other day, furious, because obviously the rising gas prices and things like that.
Yeah.
And of course blaming Biden for it. Fundamental question: how much is Biden or Democratic policies responsible for the? Is it Putin? Is it the invasion of the Ukraine,
Yeah.
or
a little bit of both.
or a little bit of both, or were things in motion prior to the invasion of the Ukraine?
So it's a great question. And by the way, there was a poll that just came out by NBC News that asked Americans that very question, all about, who do you blame for inflation? Who do you think the number one person is people blame for inflation?
Putin.
No.
Biden.
Steve
Moore.
Now, Putin was number two, and then
Okay.
Trump, because Biden's always, this is because of Trump. Look, the inflation rate when Donald Trump left office in January of 2021, which was 14 months ago, was 1.7%. 1.7%. In 14 months under Biden, we've gone from 1.7% inflation to we're just knocking on the door on 10%. So
Wow.
that is an abysmal record by Biden. I mean, how do you screw up things so quickly? Now, here's the other thing. When you look at these numbers and you look at what's going on, now the question is, why is it that we've seen this explosion in inflation? Now, clearly, Putin does deserve some of the blame because of the invasion that has reduced the supply of energy worldwide. So that's obviously raised the world oil price. But that's all the more reason, by the way, that we should be producing more and more oil here in Texas
Right.
and Oklahoma and Alaska. But the other factor, by far the biggest factor, is these trillions and trillions of dollars that Biden has spent and borrowed and printed money. And it was so predictable. It's like the sun rising in the east in the morning. That when you spend and borrow and print money like that, you're going to have inflation. It's just connecting the dots here, and that's why when I saw Biden yesterday morning or the day before release a $6 trillion budget, just to give you guys some perspective. And I think the Republicans and Democrats are a pox on both of their houses. They both love to spend money and they love to play Santa Claus. But when I first came to Washington, the budget was just under $1 trillion in 1985 under Reagan. And we've gone from $1 trillion to $6 trillion in the last 30-some years. That's incredible, the massive growth of our government. And the idea that we're going to then, of course, sorry to carry on about this, but this idea
No, go on.
people's unrealized capital gains, and that's going to solve all the problem.
Yeah, you're
guarantee
right.
you that's not going to work.
And then, of course, the budget has $1 trillion deficit, right? So more debt.
Oh, well over $1 trillion.
Yeah,
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Another $1 trillion of borrowing. And that's the other thing. When I first came to Washington, we had the first $100 billion deficit. We're like, oh, my God, $100 billion of borrowing in 1 year? Now we're borrowing $1 trillion a year. And it's like an addiction. It's like a crack cocaine addiction that we have to spending and borrowing. Again, I'm not saying that the Republicans are fiscal angels either. I mean, they even Trump, who I work for, I think he did a lot of great things for our economy. He didn't want to cut spending. Bush didn't want to cut spending. Obama didn't want to cut spending.
Nope.
Who
Who was the last president?
Stephen
Moore, who was the last president that actually wanted to cut spending?
Well,
is it Reagan?
This is going to surprise. This is going to surprise you.
What?
Clinton.
Who was the president the last time we balanced the budget?
Clinton.
Yes.
Clinton had a surplus.
Yeah, we had a budget surplus under Clinton. Like
We did.
I didn't like some of Clinton's behavior, but
Yeah,
when
he had
if you look, it's just he was the most fiscally conservative because Clinton actually pivoted back to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And
He did.
I think his first 2 years in office were a catastrophe, and then his last years in office were pretty good.
Yeah.
We had we did tax cuts, we balanced the budget, we had a strong economy. So Clinton, I think, is underrated in that respect. But under Reagan, we had to dig out of the Carter
Right.
malaise.
Right, Carter.
Right,
exactly.
And this is what makes me nervous, guys. When you get inflation out of control like it is right now, where it was 4%, then 5%, then 7%, then 9%, it keeps going up. Do you guys remember what happened in the early 80s? I mean, it just completely crashed the economy.
I remember.
It was horrible. You couldn't.
That's right.
I graduated from New Trier High School in 1979, and you couldn't get a job as a burger flipper back then. I mean, the economy.
Well,
was
I remember
bad.
our
So-
mortgage interest rate was 18%.
We were
And I
in.
remember staying in gas lines. I mean, I was a kid, but I just remember gas lines,
Oh,
and
I
I
remember
remember
too.
they
Right.
just paid
We were in
cash
the
for your house
restaurant.
because you don't want to give that money.
We were in
away.
the restaurant business.
Wait, Amy.
Yeah.
Amy, you're way too young to remember that.
I just remember my parents complaining about it. I didn't
We were-
contribute to the mortgage back then, Stephen Moore.
We were in the restaurant business, and inflation was at
Yep.
like 13.3% in Illinois.
Yeah.
And I mean, our commodities were going up constantly. I mean, what we were paying, and you can't
Oh yeah.
adjust your
Oh yeah.
your prices.
No, because you can't change the
Yeah,
menu
exactly,
every day.
Exactly. So
But
we barely
yeah.
survived during that period.
Yeah. So think about this. Just in the last year, the mortgage interest rate, which is still low, historically, but it was like 3%, and already it's gone to 4.5%, in some places 5%. And those mortgage rates, unfortunately, I think are going to continue to go up. Now, what has been one of the drivers of the economy over the last few years? Housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we see a bust in the housing market due to rising mortgage
Mhm.
rates, this could be a crash landing. Now, look, I still think there's time to turn this around, but I guarantee you, having a what does he call it, a tax on unrealized capital gains? How stupid is that? That's the idea that let's say you own AT&T stock and you made $10,000 appreciation in the stock, and then they're going to tax you on that. But wait a minute, I mean, Paul and Amy, you don't have the money because you haven't sold the stock.
Right.
So how do you get the money to pay the stock?
It's just destructive.
Every time I talk to you, I think my blood pressure goes.
One would argue that if you,
I've never heard of anything so stupid. And we should be before we raise. Here's my line: before we raise a single penny of new taxes on anybody, let us do something about the $200 to $300 to $400 billion in fraud and waste, in improper payments, in Medicaid, food stamps,
Yep.
unemployment insurance, and these other programs. Can you believe this? The fraud rate in these federal programs, folks, is between 10 and 20%. You know what the fraud rate is for like a private insurance company or a bank?
What?
Like 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
And if
Oh,
they go
gosh.
to 3%, they're out of business.
And the
So why
COVID
is it
fraud too that's
tolerate
going
this
on
stuff?
with all these
Oh, my
testing
God, yeah.
companies and oh my God, people made millions. They just busted this one couple and they had millions of dollars.
Look at the
just cash
look at
in
the s-
bags that
look
they
at the
stored in the
story
backyard.
this week about the Chicago Public Schools. What 40,000 laptops disappear,
Just gone.
or tablets
Yeah.
disappear.
Well,
Just
We
gone.
turned ours in. Don't
Disappeared.
worry.
Did you
Okay,
turn yours
let me
in?
give
We
you
turned
another
ours
I want to
in.
make sure.
Yeah, let me give you another statistic. So they estimate somewhere between 100 and 150 billion dollars has been stolen in from the unemployment insurance program. By the way, a lot of those people don't even live in the United States; they live in China and
Right.
Africa. Boy, that stimulates the economy over there. But anyway, so do you know what percent of the fraud they've recovered so far?
What? How much? Anything?
1%.
Yeah,
Oh my!
yeah.
They're never going to see
Because
that
they're
money
not
again.
even trying.
I
They're
know.
not- I mean,
They
it's
just
just
act like they're
maddening. So-
trying.
Yeah.
All right. So have the Fed's done one thing to combat inflation?
Well, they're behind the curve. I mean, they raised rates, but it's way behind the curve. And look, I think the Fed needs to continue to raise rates. But the most important thing is to stop all of this spending. And can you imagine, by the way, guys, how bad inflation would be right now if we had passed that god awful $5 trillion what do you call it? Build back? I call it build back.
Yeah,
Roper.
build back.
I mean, can you imagine if we had done that? We'd have a 20% inflation rate right now, and Biden would run around and say, "This will reduce inflation." It's like, what? Do we really think we're that stupid?
I know. And I just did my taxes and that child tax credit that they gave us every month. No, I like it at the end of the year when I get my tax return. And that big chunk is gone, and I was looking forward to that money.
Here's one for you. The city of Chicago has gotten $6 billion in COVID money.
Billion.
Billion with a B. Billion for schools. For schools and for the city. Yet the last 2 years they've raised property taxes $426 million. And incidentally, for the listeners out there, these are automatic increases because they get automatic levy increases, and the school district always goes to the levy cap. City council has no control. Well, now with the inflation rate rising, the automatic increases are going to be double what they were the last 2 years. So they'll probably grow $400 million in next year alone. But don't worry, because our mayor is going to give us gas tax relief.
Oh, yeah. So listen to this. You got to hear this real quick. So our mayor, our gas tax is 8 cents on the gallon.
Right.
She wants to lower it by 3 cents.
By 3 cents.
Here she is.
Our goal is to make sure that we have maximum impact to address the immediate concern that people have with being able to afford to put gas in their car.
Yeah, 3 cents, Stephen. That's going to be a game
Maximum
changer.
impact.
Well, she had to respond to Willie.
That's going to be a salvation for people. Now, here's the thing: the gas price when Trump left office was $2.59 a gallon nationally. What are you paying now in Chicagoland?
$5.09.
Yeah, $5.09.
Yeah, so you're paying $2.50 more a gallon, and they are talking about giving you a 3-cent rebate.
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be a game changer. Yeah. But she's responding in kind because Willie Wilson, who's going to be announcing soon that he's running for mayor, had a gas giveaway. Did you hear about this?
He gave away about $1 million.
$1.2 million in gas, not only to the city but surrounding suburbs as well.
Well, the solution to that is just drill, baby, drill. Let's produce our own gas here, not in Russia, not in Venezuela, not Iran. I mean, think about this. We're getting now our energy from Iran, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Venezuela, all our enemies. How dumb is that when we can get it, right down the street? Hey, how was, before we close off, how was the big 50th birthday?
Oh, the roast to Dan Proft?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have to watch it once we put it online. And
I
Stephen Moore is such a good guy. We'll give you a free link.
Okay. Yeah, I was in Chicago last week, and that's all anybody was talking about. So I hope you roasted him.
Oh,
Amy.
we did. Oh, it was.
Okay.
I was nervous at first, but once I got up there,
Stephen,
it was cathartic.
I want to know, since you're a regular, are they giving you a supply of Balance of Nature too?
Well, they're giving me,
they're supplying me with Balance of Nature.
I need a pay raise because of 10% inflation, and I haven't gotten one yet.
Have they given you My Pillow's slipper to give to your wife as a present? Because that's what they're giving their.
I feel overworked and underpaid.
You are. Right. Hold out. You got to hold out, man.
All right, Stephen Moore, always a pleasure. He's noted economist and author of Trumponomics, also the recent Govzilla, how the relentless growth of government is devouring our economy. Thank you so much, Stephen. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye. Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Grandview buys homes. Hi, I'm Tom Detlich. Grandview has been helping families who want to sell their home for over a decade now. Grandview is different than using a real estate agent to sell your home. We buy the home directly from you in as little as 10 days. I can share countless stories of families who had a difficult to sell home and who were so stressed they didn't even know where to begin. With Grandview, the process is simple and stress-free. Contact us for a brief and private appointment at your home, then get your fair cash offer in as little as 24 hours. It's that simple. As the largest direct home buyer in Chicagoland, you can trust us to treat your situation with dignity and respect.